What's up everyone? Welcome back once again to the Angry Birds Epic No Attacking Challenge. We only have one more egg to rescue in order to beat the game, so this episode is definitely going to be intense. If you haven't watched the previous parts, I'll suggest watching those first, but if you have, then you already know the rules. Well, actually, about the rules of this challenge, I did make one small change. I'm now officially allowing the use of the Golden Pig machine, as it's my only way of attaining more powerful gear at this point in the game. But keep in mind I can only use it for free twice a day, so unless I spend lucky coins, which I don't want to do right now, I can't just get a ton of OP gear and beat every single level with ease, so I think using the machine is fair. Also, after beating the mountain castle in the last episode, we unlocked two new classes, the Wizard and the Berserker. Unfortunately, these classes are pretty much useless in this challenge. The Wizard, like most of Chucks' other classes, gets greatly outclassed by the Lightning Bird in this challenge. And as for Bombs' Berserker class, I tried it out on our first level, Snowy Peak 3. It technically does have an attack replacement in the form of its Berserk ability, which makes the bird take 15% of its max health as damage, and all the pigs take the same damage. But in the end, it deals pitiful damage. It also forces us to have the bird take damage between turns due to the rules of our challenge, so it's not really going to be all that useful. We technically beat Snowy Peak 3 this way, but it's clear that I'm never using the Berserker class in this challenge, so I went back to using the Pirate to play offensively, and it's a good thing too, as the next level, Islands in the Sky, is a really difficult wave battle. Wave 1 has an Ice Knight and some Pygmies, so I used Bomb to dish out heavy damage while using Chuck to dispel the Knight's shields. Wave 2 has a lot of Snow Pigs, so you need a bit of luck to don't all gang up on the same bird and take them out. Also, whatever you do, do not have the princess attack on this wave. You're asking for death if you do that. Instead, keep using Chuck to take out the snowy minions, then finish off the chieftain last. Wave 3 is a rematch against the Howler Ghost Boss, but he is thankfully not that bad. Just use Matilda to remove his Parish Songs' poisoning effect, and use Speed of Light to dish out quick damage before he can summon a bunch of minions. Islands in the Sky 2 has an Ice Shaman, a Frost Hog, and one group of Ice Pygmies. The best trick was to focus on surviving and building up the Rage Chili, then using Speed of Light to take out the two strongest pigs before focusing on the Pygmies. Islands in the Sky 3 was a pretty simple, yet pretty challenging level. It has a Frost Hog who deals heavy damage, and an Ice Knight that can protect the Frost Hog and remove helpful effects from our birds, so we can't rely on shields for the Frost Hog. Instead, we use damage spreading on Matilda and Bomb so they don't die. Then, after fumbling use the Rage Chili a few times, we won the battle. I actually really like the difficulty of this random level, as it really goes to show how this challenge really affects the play of the game. We then move on to Pumpkin Plateau. The first level was a wave battle full of undead pigs. Since we don't have to worry about our health effects being removed anymore, we relied on the Cannoneer's counter once again. Wave 1 is super easy. Wave 2 is a Voodoo Berserker, so we relied on the Cannoneer to lower his offense. We also got level 27 here. And finally, Wave 3 is a Necromancer, so we got all the pigs on low health and finished them off with the Speed of Light. After beating this level, we meet the Mighty Eagle, who gives us a special side quest to retrieve a sword and a stone to unlock his dojo. But for now, we aren't going to worry about that. Instead, we take on Pumpkin Plateau 2, and it doesn't have any undead pigs for some reason. Instead, there's a guard captain and a bunch of minions. I purposely had all the pigs attack Chuck so he can use his counter to remove all their shields, but other than that, this level was super boring and easy. We then head through Square Forest, a forest full of Minecraft trees. The first level was a somewhat tricky wave battle with guard captains and Mario pigs that can boost the defense and offense of the pigs respectively, so definitely want to rely on Chuck to remove their buffs. Square Forest 2 just has one Ice Knight and one Guard Pig, so it was super easy. What wasn't easy was the mini-boss of Square Forest 3, the Royal Bodyguard. Now, I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't expect this guy to be a threat to this challenge, as he's normally one of, if not, the hardest mini-boss of the main campaign. The Royal Bodyguard has a unique attack pattern, where it'll take 3 turns charging up an ability that lets him immediately attack random birds 3 times in a single turn, with each hit healing him by 200% of the damage dealt. When I did my original No Attacks challenge, I thought this guy was 100% impossible to beat without potions. But, spoiler alert, there is a way we can defeat him without potions. For this battle, we used the Druid, Lightning Bird, and the Guardian. Normally in this challenge, the Samurai is better than the Guardian, as it provides more powerful shields, but here's the catch. The Samurai's shields provide a 50% damage reduction to one bird you select, and then a 40% damage reduction to the other two birds. The Guardian's shields only provide a 25% damage reduction to all birds, but if we pair that with the Guardian's overpower attack that lowers the target pig's offense by 25%, we can ensure that no matter what bird this boss attacks, he'll only deal half damage and only heal for half. That doesn't mean the fight isn't tedious, though. We use Thorny Vines and Speed of Light to sink more damage in, but it ends up taking over 10 minutes to beat this guy. Not to mention I almost had a heart attack when he almost killed Chuck one turn, but we managed to win nonetheless. We then arrived near King Pig's castle, only to discover that King Pig was actually smart for once, as he fortified his fortress, blocking us from getting in on foot. Red attempted to get in by using the airship, but King Pig also had some catapults set up that could easily spell doom for our ship, so that's not an option either. We have no choice but to travel by sea. Also, I like how the boulder from the catapult is just stuck floating in the air afterwards. We set sail through the Eastern Sea. The first level introduces us to the Marine Knight, who's basically just a rogue leader with the Ironclad ability, so he's not really a threat to us. I beat this level by playing offensively with Bomb, but he almost ended up dying, so I think we should go back to using Red to play more defensively. Eastern Sea 2 is a wave battle full of tanky pigs that took forever to go down. On the plus side, Red's shields are more than able to keep us alive, and we got level 28 for beating this level. We're about to make it to Pig City Harbor, but King Pig outplayed us once again, and filled the area with mines that explode if just a tiny insect were to touch them, so we definitely can't sail our ship through here. But how are we going to get to Pig City then? Well, Professor Pig has yet another brilliant idea. If we had a submarine, we can go under the mines and reach Pig City safely. To get a submarine, we have to chase down a submariner pig in the Northern Sea. But first, we need to travel through Moorlands, an area full of brute pigs. The first level has a normal brute and a frost hog. We used Red's Knight class and took advantage of the Knight's attack, which forces the attacked pig to attack the Knight. Pair that with the Princess, we can ensure both brutes attack different birds that are both shielded, so neither of the birds die. Warlands 2 is a wave battle, with the first wave only having one normal brute. Wave 2 is a Frost Hog and an Ice Shaman that kept spamming his healing ability, which was annoying. The final wave is a unique brute called the Big Brawler. His attack only takes 2 turns to charge instead of 3, and it hits all birds, with each bird being hit having a 10% chance of being stunned for 1 turn. I was somewhat unlucky here, in that he managed to stun 2 of my birds at one point, but it didn't prove to be a huge detriment, and Red's shield combined with Matilda's healing was enough to keep us alive. Moorlands 3 just has 2 regular brutes, so I just used the Knight again. After this level, we move on to Lakeland, which thankfully isn't all just brutes. Lakeland 1 is a pretty simple wave battle. The first wave just has a brute and a few stick pigs, so have Chuck take out the little guys first. The second wave was annoying because I got unlucky and Chuck wouldn't dispel the nature pig's healing effects, so taking him and the brawler out took a while. But on wave 3, I got lucky and managed to take out the Frost Hog before the chieftain can use his healing ability, so I guess the luck evens out there. Lakeland 2 is a pathetically easy battle with just a couple of minion pigs, and after sweeping your way to victory, the submariner pig escapes in his submarine. We have to chase him through the Northern Sea. But first, we take on Lakeland 3, which was a pretty straightforward wave battle. Make sure to use the Samurai shield from all the minion pigs, and use Chuck to dispel the Mario Pig's offense buff. We also got level 29 here. Northern Sea 1 was super easy. Like, seriously, Chuck literally one-shot nearly every pig here, and I'm not over-exaggerating. I have no idea why this level was so much easier compared to some of the previous levels, but okay. The submariner pig tries to escape again, but crashes into a wall, and now he has nowhere left to run. After beating Northern Sea 1, we got access to another class shop, where I bought Bomb's Captain class, and tried it out in Northern Sea 2. Its whip-up ability makes us deal tons of damage, but like the Berserker, it also forces us to take damage every turn. It could still have some niche uses though. Also, this level was also super easy. Like, why do the levels here suddenly feel like they're getting easier? Northern C3 is a wave battle, and while it wasn't that hard, it was much harder than the previous piss-easy levels. The first level is just a bunch of pirates, and the second wave is a big pirate, so be sure to use a samurai and druid. The final wave has us fight the submariner pig, who can lower the defense of all birds and deal heavy damage to all birds after 2 turns. But thanks to the speed of light, we were able to defeat him before he could deal too much damage to us. And just like that, we unlocked the submarine. But before heading to Pig City, I want to take on 2 optional levels that we just gained access to. First, we take on Northern C4, where I use Chuck to remove the pirates' offense buffs, and Red to protect us from the big pirate. Then we take on Southern C4, and this level is just straight up weird. It's a wave battle against some undead pigs, but for whatever reason, they're all only at level 12, and Chuck one-shot pretty much all of them. As much as I love this game, I now can't help but notice how bad the level balancing can be at times. I was getting fed up with all these stupidly easy levels, but don't worry, the next bunch of levels are going to be really hard. First level on the dock, or should I say, under the dock, is Pig City Harbor. We have to fight against a Mario Pig and a guard captain at the same time, and they're really scary with their offense and defense buffed. To counter this, I use the captain's whip up ability on Chuck, which boosts attack power by 65% at the cost of 15% of the target bird's max health. I then had Chuck spam attacks to deal good damage to all pigs and remove their buffs. After beating that level and reaching level 30, Prince Porky notices the birds coming and alerts all the pigs. To get to King Pig's castle, we first have to get through a gauntlet of battles in Pig City. Pig City 1 is a wave battle, and a really tedious and tough one at that. At this point in the game, even the little minion pigs were dealing considerable damage, so Red Samurai was absolutely needed. The second wave had a guard captain, and the final wave had 2 super tanky royal guards that took forever to go down. Thankfully, they were stupid and kept spamming their healing effects most of the time, so we were not in danger of dying to them. The royal guard then runs like a coward, only for Whiz Pig to turn him into a fly out of spite, because apparently Whiz Pig had this power all along, and he never decided to use it on the birds for some reason. Well, whatever. Prince Porky then challenged us in Pig City 2. Up to this point, Prince Porky has been a complete pushover, but things are different here. Prince Porky has a new secret weapon, the infinitely respawning aid bombs. Unlike the other bombs that simply do a little bit of damage to all of the birds, the aid bombs heal all of the pigs when they explode, and they heal them by a lot of health too. The only way to stop this is to kill them within 2 turns. Unfortunately, on this attempt, Chuck's attack wasn't able to deal enough damage to do that. I did some quick damage calcs, and I found out that I needed Chuck to have an attack power of at least 264 in order to take out the aid bombs before they explode. Now you probably saw this earlier in the video, but I actually got a set item weapon for Chuck from the Golden Pig machine. I wasn't using it at first because it doesn't boost his dispel chance, and I was relying on that a lot, but for a battle where we want to rely on pure attack power, it's our best bet for now. The only problem was that, even after enchanting the item, it still didn't give Chuck the attack power we needed. But, with a little help from Bomb the Pirate, Chuck was able to deal more than enough damage to take out the pesky aid bombs. But I had to swap out Red for Bomb, so I couldn't use Red to shield us. Instead, I relied on the Princess for redirectional support and healing. However, since I changed Chuck's weapon, he has a lower chance of dispelling Prince Porky's tit for tat, and he was dealing a ton of damage to my birds. We also don't have a way to bypass Prince Porky's dodge ability, so it took a long time to go down. Overall, this battle requires a bit of luck that Prince Porky doesn't kill birds while they're at low HP, like he almost did a few times, but this battle is more than possible. Prince Porky retreats into the castle, so now we have to battle against Whiz Pig, and he is no joke. He's just the same as he was in Mountain Pig Castle, but he has better stats, and is now accompanied by a Cactus Knight that can apply a damage reflector like Whiz Pig's Dark Energy, and his attacks can poison us. With the right weapon, Chuck can dispel the effects, but the poison damage is brutal, and Matilda wasn't able to heal us enough to keep us alive. Now, this part of the game is kind of awkward for me, because I didn't have a way of obtaining better gear outside of the daily Golden Pig Machine rolls. So in the meantime, I decided to take on some more optional levels while I grinded for better gear. The first thing I tried was the Ghost Ship dungeon, and it was really brutal. I somehow managed to make it to the final wave, but that's where I lost. However, there's also a set of optional levels down below Pig City, so let's try those out. First up was Eastern Sea 3, which just has a pirate and a big pirate. I wish there was more I could say about these random levels, but it was pretty easy, even if the pigs did deal some decent damage. Eastern Sea 4 is a wave battle. The first wave has a Mario pig and some minions, so I had Chuck dispel their offense buffs while using Matilda to make them all attack Red, who shielded himself. Wave 2 has some pirates and a Smudgute, but as long as the samurai shields are up, they can't deal much damage to us. And the final wave features a return of the Submariner pig, but I saved Speed of Light to take him out once again. Eastern Sea 5 has a Mario pig, a Marine Knight, and a bunch of annoying bombs. All the bombs ended up exploding, but Red Samurai Shield is more enough to protect us. At least these bombs don't infinitely respawn. So that brings us to an interesting area. Old Nesting Barrows. The first level has only 2 rogues? Seriously, what's with this game's difficulty balancing? And immediately after that easy level, Old Nesting Barrows 2 is a hard wave battle. The first wave just has some minion pigs, but the second wave has a big boss pig that was dealing a ton of damage to my birds. There were several moments where he could have killed a bird that was low on health, so I was lucky he didn't do that. I was also lucky in the final wave that despite nearly one-shotting Chuck, Biggie and Jones never killed him, and we clutched out the win, albeit with a sacrifice from Bomb. Old Nesting Barrows 3 is another level with nothing but a bunch of minion pigs. I will say though, while Bomb's Captain class isn't that useful in this challenge, it's really good at helping Chuck eliminate a ton of weaklings easily. So that brings us to Old Nesting Barrows 4, and this level is rather interesting. This level has the Sword Spirit boss, a mysterious foe resembling Red in his Avenger class and Dragon's Breath set items. The Sword Spirit challenges us to a duel of honor, in which we can only use one bird in this battle, and even if we wanted to, we can't use potions either. So with all of that in mind, how hard do you expect this boss to be? The answer? Basically impossible. The Sword Spirit takes 3 turns to charge up a super powerful attack. It's so powerful that it deals enough damage to one-shot most of my birds, and in this challenge, the only classes that have a feasible chance are Chuck's Lightning Bird and the Blues' Rogues. Now, in theory, it's probably possible to beat this boss by overleveling by a lot, but that would take a long time, even longer than the time I spent grinding for the last 2 levels of this episode. Now I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is that the Sword Spirit is an optional boss, so beating them isn't required to beat the game. The bad news is that beating this boss is required to get access to Mighty Eagle's dojo, where you can buy mastery points for the birds to rank up faster. Now this isn't the end of the world, as we can still earn mastery through battle, but of course that just means more grinding. Yay! After all of that, I was finally ready to take on Whiz Pig again. This time, I had Matilda with a better offhand item to increase her max health, which also increases how much her support ability heals us by, which is good to know. On this attempt, I used Chuck's offensive set item again, and I focused on spamming Chuck's attacks until the Cactus Knight went down. Now the damage reflectors could have proven to be an issue here, but luckily for me, they weren't. We eventually took out the Cactus Knight, but Red was poisoned, and then Whiz Pig attacked us, nearly killing Red. But thankfully, Matilda could heal him and keep us alive. Once Whiz Pig is by himself, the usual strat using Thorny Vines and Speed of Light to sink in extra damage was enough to give us victory. Now, all that's left is a stronghold of our 5th and final egg, King Pig's Castle. I already knew I'd have to get better gear to stand a chance, so I spent about a week grinding, where I leveled up to level 32 and kept rolling the golden pig machine until I got a more powerful weapon for Chuck. You'll see why I needed this soon, but first, let's go over the first 4 waves of King Pig's Castle. For this castle, you want the usual party of the Samurai, Lightning Bird, and Druid. The first wave has a Corporal and some minions, so keep having Chuck attack until all the minions are gone, and then use Matilda's Thorny Vines to help take out the Corporal. The second wave has a guard captain and 2 guard pigs. I would recommend using a rage chili here before the pig guards can empty it. And once again, focus on the smaller pigs before using Thorny Vines to take out the bigger pig. The third wave has a pyro pig and also introduces new minion pigs called apprentices. They're basically just stick pigs, but instead of having a turn wasting move, they have a support ability that increases the defense of 1 pig. But overall, they weren't much of a threat, and Chuck's able to take out all of them real easily. The 4th wave has a few minions and another super tanky royal guard. This is a good time to use a rage chili, as you'll definitely have a lot of time to fill it back before the final wave. After a super tedious endeavor, we finally come face to face with King Pig himself, as well as Prince Porky and Whiz Pig again. There's definitely a lot to go over here, so here we go. King Pig is meant to be a joke, as his attacks deal little damage, and he'll sometimes waste 2 turns just crying like a baby. But he's still annoying, as his attacks block our rage abilities, and his annoying ability increases the attack of Prince Porky and Whiz Pig by 20%. While Prince Porky remains mostly the same, he can still use tit for tat on all the pigs, increasing their attack power even further, and his attacks also can deal a ton of damage. Finally, Whiz Pig is actually a lot different here. Instead of having a support ability, he has a 2-turn charge ability that simply lowers the attack of all birds by 75%. Now, I originally thought this would be detrimental to us, but it actually wasn't all that bad. It's actually good in some ways, since it means Whiz Pig will spend more turns not using Black Storm. But even with all of that out of the way, we still have to worry about our greatest enemy. Say it with me. Infinitely respawning aid bombs. This is why I upgraded Chuck's weapon. With it, Chuck can one-shot the aid bombs, or two-shot them when weakened by Whiz Pig. Now, I could also be wrong about this, but I think these aid bombs have less health than the ones in Pig City 2, so I was grateful for that. So here's my strategy for this battle. Whenever there are aid bombs present, always have Chuck attack to get rid of them. When there aren't any, I had Matilda attack to apply Thorny Vines in the hope of taking out Prince Porky first. I actually ended up defeating King Pig first, but wasn't much longer until Prince Porky fell as well. And at this point, you know how most Whiz Pig battles go. Get him by himself, and then use Thorny Vines and Speed of Light to finish the job. And just like that, we've beaten King Pig's castle without adding any attacks or potions to our original total from episode 1. Now all that's left is to grab our 5th egg and... Uh-oh, this game has a plot twist. Whiz Pig betrays King Pig and steals his crown and our 5th egg. He then flies off to the mountains, where he creates his own castle guarded by a magic shield protected by 5 wizard masters. So in other words, this challenge isn't over yet. I still have one more video to make in this series, and it will be the true finale of the Angry Birds Epic No Attacking Challenge. But you'll have to wait to see the true ending. Until then, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the future. Goodbye for now.